The narcissist trap, a spiritual war you didn't see coming. Have you ever found yourself entangled with someone who seems to drain the very life out of you, someone who manipulates, deceives, and causes destruction wherever they go, yet always portrays themselves as the victim? If so, you are not alone. Narcissists operate under the influence of spiritual deception. They are tools in the hands of the enemy. They whisper lies, distort reality, and sow confusion, much like Satan did in the Garden of Eden when he asked, "Did God really say?" Genesis 3 or 1. Their goal: to break your faith, to shake your confidence in God, and to leave you feeling abandoned and defeated. But what if I told you that what you're experiencing is not a punishment, but a refinement, that God is not ignoring your pain? He is using it to shape you into the warrior He designed you to be. The devil didn't want you to hear this message, because this truth will set you free. God is refining you. 1. The narcissist's plan: how the enemy uses them against you. There are no coincidences in spiritual warfare. If you have encountered a narcissist in your life, understand that this was never by chance. It was an assignment. The enemy doesn't waste his time on those who pose no threat to his kingdom. He goes after those who carry God's anointed, those who are cold, those who have a divine destiny written over their lives. The fact that you have been targeted is not a sign of weakness. It is a confirmation that there is something within you that the enemy desperately wants to silence. Narcissists are not just difficult people, they are agents of destruction operating under the spirit of deception. They reflect the very nature of Satan, full of pride, thirsting for control, and utterly devoid of true love. Like the adversary himself, they are masters of illusion, presenting themselves as kind, charismatic, and even godly, only to turn and manipulate, deceive, and destroy. They wear masks, shifting their persona is to fit their desires, but underneath it all is a darkness that seeks only one thing: power. That charm is a tool of it, meant that words are weapons, and their presence is a storm designed to shake your very foundation. And yet we must ask why. Why does the enemy use these individuals to target God's people? Because if he can break you, if he can make you question your worth, your purpose, and your God, then he is won. The narcissist is a tool in his hands, a weapon, forged for the single purpose of wearing you down, draining you dry, and making you forget who you are in Christ. This is not a battle of flesh and blood. This is spiritual warfare at its most insidious level. The narcissist will not come to you as an obvious enemy. No, they will come as a friend or lover, a mentor, a leader, someone you trust. They will enter your life in a moment of vulnerability, when your guard is down, and they will speak the words you long to hear. They will lift you up, only to tear you down. They will take from you, siphoning your strength, your confidence, your joy, until you are left questioning whether you were ever strong to begin with. They will isolate you, making you believe that you are the problem that no one else could possibly understand. And when you are at your weakest, when you are drowning in self-doubt and spiritual fatigue, they will whisper the final lie that God has abandoned you. This is what Satan has done since the beginning. In the Garden of Eden, he planted a seed of doubt in Eve's mind. Did God really say? Genesis 3:1. That is the essence of the narcissist's attack. They don't just hurt you, they make you question what is real. They twist the truth, distort reality, and rewrite history to suit their narrative. And before you realize it, you have spent years walking in confusion, trying to prove your innocence, trying to regain something you didn't even realize was stolen from And yet, even as the narcissist works their deception, God is working his refinement. This pain is not without purpose. The enemy thought he was breaking you, but God is using this to build you. What the enemy meant for evil, God is turning for your good. This is the fire that refines, the suffering that sanctifies. Do you not see the fact that you are still here, still fighting, still seeking truth? Is evidence that the enemy has failed. You were meant to be destroyed, but instead you are being transformed. You are shedding the lies, the falsehoods, the chains that bound you to someone who was never meant to have power over you. And what of the narcissist? They believe they have one, that they have rewritten reality to fit their version of the story. But God is not marked there, his judgment coming for those who delight in deception, for those who exalt themselves and crush others beneath their feet. The narcissist may believe they are untouchable, but their fall will be great. Just as Satan was cast down for his pride, so too will they face the consequences of their action. So do not despair. Do not let the enemy's whisper of defeat take root in your soul. You are not alone, and you are not forgotten. You are being refined, strengthened, prepared for something greater. The fire is painful, but it is purging away the things that cannot go with you into your next season. You are rising. The narcissist thought they had the final word, but they underestimated the power of the God who fights for you. This battle is not yours. It belongs to the Lord, and he never loses. If this message resonates with you, declare in the comments, I am chosen, and I will not be defeated. Let the enemy know that you are standing in victory to God's refinement. Why you're going through this battle, there is a reason why you are in this battle. There is a reason why you have been attacked, broken, betrayed, and left to wonder if God even sees your suffering. You are not here by accident. You are here because God is refining you. Refinement is not a gentle process. It is fire. It is pressure. It is the crushing of everything that is weak, so that only what is strong remains. Gold is purifying through fire. Diamonds have formed under immense pressure. Olive oil is produced only when the olives are pressed until they release what is hidden inside. And your faith, your strength, your anointed, it is forged through the very pain you are walking through right now. Now you may be asking, but why, Lord? Why did you allow this? Why didn't you protect me from the narcissist deception? Why did you let them into my life if you knew they would bring so much pain? And God's answer is this: because I am not just saving you, I am transforming you. If God only protected you from pain, you would never know your own strength. If he only removed the narcissist from your life without first refining you, you would never be prepared for the greater cooling he has placed. Don't you think of Job, a righteous man? God allowed Satan to test him. Why? Because Job's faith had to be proven. It is one thing to trust God when everything is going well, but faith that has never been tested is not true faith, faith that survives the fire, his faith that cannot be shaken. Job lost everything, was falsely accused, was tormented by suffering he did not deserve. And yet in the end, God restored him double for his trouble. The narcissist in your life was not just an obstacle. They were an instrument, one that God used to expose the weaknesses in your heart, to reveal, peel away your trust truly lies, and to remove everything that was never meant to go with you into your next season. The pain they caused was real. The betrayal was real. The destruction they left in their wake was real. But so is the work God is doing in you. And when this refining process is complete, you will not be the same person who entered it. God allows battles not to break us, but to build us he is forging a warrior out of you you may not feel. Strong now, you may feel exhausted, broken, stripped of everything you once thought was secure. But that is because God is removing everything that was not built on him. The narcissists thought they could take your identity, your confidence, your joy. But what they didn't realize is that God was using them to strip away the false things so that only the truth would remain. There was a moment in the refining process when the goldsmith looks into the fire and sees nothing but flames and impurities being burned away. But when the process is nearly complete, something incredible happens. He begins to see his own reflection in the gold. That is what God is doing, and he is purifying, you until his reflection is seen in you, until your faith is not based on circumstances, but on his unshakable truth, until your identity is not found in how others see you, but in how he sees you, until your strength is not in your own ability, but in his power working through you. And so if you are king through the fire, do not fear. If you feel the crushing, do not resist. If you are wondering where God is in all of this, trust that he is closer than ever. He is not punishing you. He is promoting you. He's not breaking you. He is building you. And when the season is over, when the refining is complete, you will rise, you will emerge stronger, wiser, unshakable. The enemy thought he was destroying you. But what he did not realize is that he was only pushing you closer to the destiny God had already planned for you. You are not being buried, you are being planted. The fire is not your end, it is your beginning. And soon, very soon, God will restore you beyond what you ever met. 3. God's justice. The narcissist will face judgment. The narcissist moves through life as if they are untouchable, as if they can manipulate, deceive, and destroy without consequence. They believe their lies will never be exposed, their betrayal will never come to light, and their power over others will last forever. But they have forgotten one thing: God is watching. There is no evil done in secret to that God does not see. No manipulation, no falsehood, no act of cruelty escapes his side. He is the God of justice, and he does not let the wicked go unpunished. The narcissist may fool the world, but they cannot fool God. The Word of God makes it clear, do not be deceived. God is not marked for whatever one sows, that will he also reap. Galatians 6:7. There were 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to run to evil, a false witness who breathes out lies, and one who sows discord among brothers. Proverbs 6:16. These verses describe the very nature of the narcissist, their arrogance, their deceit, their willingness to harm others for their own gain. But God does not allow the wicked to prosper forever. Their day of reckoning is coming. And when it does, it will be swift and undeniable. Perhaps the hardest thing to accept is watching the narcissist appear to succeed while you suffer. You see them move on with their lives, escaping accountability, finding new people to manipulate, and never once showing remorse for what they have done. And you wonder, Lord, where is your justice? How can you allow this? But you must understand something about God's timing. His justice is never late, though it may seem slow to us. God is patient not because he ignores evil, but because he gives space for repentance. Some narcissists will never turn from their ways, and when they stand before the throne of God, they will have no excuse. Every word, every action, every wound they have inflicted will be laid bare before them, and there will be no escape. Do not make the mistake of thinking that because their punishment is delayed, it will not come. God's judgment is like a dam holding back a flood. When it breaks, it will not stop. The narcissist who has built the kingdom on deception will see it collapse in a single moment. Their name will be forgotten, that influence will wither, and their power will be stripped away. But what about you? You have suffered at their hands. You have endured their cruelty, their lies, their slander. What does God say to you? He says, "Vengeance is mine, I will repay." Hey, Romans 12:19. God is not asking you to fight this battle. He will fight it for you. The weight of justice is too heavy for human hands, and He does not want you to carry it the moment you release the need for revenge, the moment you surrender your pain to Him. You make way for Him to act, and when He does, His justice will not only bring judgment upon the narcissist, it will bring restoration to you. Look at Job. After all he endured, God restored him with double. Look at Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, falsely accused, imprisoned, and yet God raised him up to rule. This is what awaits you, not just justice, but restoration. Not just judgment upon the wicked, but an outpouring of blessing upon you. The narcissists thought they had buried you, but they did not realize that God was planting you. The season of suffering is ending. The season of justice is here. So stand firm. Do not let bitterness consume you. Do not let hatred take root in your heart. The narcissist end is already written, and your future is already secured in the hands of the Almighty. If you believe God's justice is coming, type in the comments, "Justice belongs to the Lord." Let the enemy know that his time is up for your restoration. God will give you back more. The new last, there is something sacred about restoration when it comes from God. It is not like the world's version of compensation. The world tries to mend what was broken, to replace what was stolen with something of equal value, to simply return what was lost. But when God restores, He multiplies. He does not just bring back what was taken, He gives back more. For so long you have walked through the fire of affliction. You have endured betrayal, manipulation, and loss at the hands of someone who never valued you, someone who used and do. God did you, someone who took everything and left you standing in the ruins of what once was. You have wrestled with heartbreak, confusion, and the deep silence of wondering why God allowed it to happen. There were nights when you felt like your prayers fell on deaf ears, when you questioned whether you would ever feel whole again. But listen to me. God has not forgotten you. What the enemy meant for evil, God has been turning for your good. Every tear you have cried, every sleepless night, every moment of anguish, none of it has been wasted. You have not suffered in vain. The narcissists thought they were taking from you permanently, that their manipulation and deceit would leave you shattered beyond repair. They believed they had the power to strip you of your joy, your dignity. But what they did not understand is that God's hand has been on your life this entire time. Restoration is coming, not just return to what you lost, but a divine elevator, Asian into something greater. Look at Job. He lost everything: his wealth, his home, his children, his reputation, his health. He sat in ashes, scraping his wounds, surrounded by people who judged him, by so-called friends who believed his suffering must have been a result of sin. But God knew the truth. God has not abandoned Job. He was refining him. He was preparing Job to receive something greater than what had been taken. And when Job's testing was complete, when his faith stood firm despite the fire, God restored him, not with the same amount, but with double. And the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he had prayed for his friends, and the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Job 42:10. This is what God does. He does not restore you back to what you were. He lifts you higher. He takes the broken pieces and builds something stronger. He removes what was not meant for you and replaces it with something greater. He takes the suffering and transforms it into wisdom, into resilience, into testimony. The narcissists believe they had the final word over your life. They thought they had rewritten your story, but they are not the author. God is, and He is writing a different ending. Restoration is not just about physical blessings. It is not just about receiving financial breakthrough, relational healing, or new opportunities. True restoration begins in the spirit. God is restoring your peace. He is restoring your confidence. He's restoring your sense of purpose, your faith in yourself, your trust in Him. He is giving you back what the enemy tried to steal from your soul, the pain you and your is not your identity. The betrayal you suffered is not your legacy. The narcissist did not destroy you. They revealed the strength that was already within you. And now God is bringing you into a new season where that strength will be your foundation, where the wisdom you gained in the storm will guide you, where the fire that was meant to consume you will now be the very thing that fuels your rise. What was stolen will be returned in greater measure. The relationships that were lost will be replaced with those who are truly meant to walk beside you. The time that seemed wasted will be redeemed. Reputation that was smeared will be restored with honor. The joy that was buried under years of pain will burst forth with an abundance that overflows. And when it happens, when the restoration unfolds before your eyes, those who saw you broken will have no choice but to acknowledge the power of God in your life. Those who mocked you, who doubted you, who counted you out will witness firsthand that God was not just sustaining you, He was preparing you for something greater. This is not just about getting back what you lost. This is about stepping into something even better than you ever imagined. God does not simply heal, He makes new. He does not simply mend, He transforms. He does not simply restore, He elevates. So stand firm. Your season of suffering is ending, and your season of restoration is beginning. The enemy tried to take everything from you, but what he didn't know is that God has already planned your comeback. And when God restores nothing, and no one can stop it. 5. The message the devil didn't want you to hear. If the devil had his way, you would never have stumbled upon this truth. If he would have kept you trapped in the lies, drowning in the pain, convinced that what happened to you was a sign of your failure rather than your refinement. He wanted you to stay lost, confused, and broken, replaying every moment of betrayal, every manipulative word spoken over you, every wound that the narcissist inflicted. He wanted you to believe that the suffering you endured was meaningless, that your prayers went unheard, and that the damage was irreversible. But he was wrong. You see, the enemy's greatest weapon is not destruction, it is deception. He does not always come with horns and fire. Sometimes he comes wrapped in charm, in a smile and words that sound like love, but carry the poison of manipulation. Sometimes he wears the face of someone you trusted, one who was supposed to love and protect you. And when he found a way to embed himself into your life through the narcissist, his goal was never just to hurt you, it was to break you completely. The enemy recognized your anointed long before you did. He saw your purpose before you even understood it yourself. He saw this strength that God placed inside of you, the destiny that was written over your life. And because he knew he could not take that destiny away, he did the only thing he could. He tried to convince you to walk away from it yourself. That was the real battle, not the betrayal, not the heartbreak, not the loss. The battle was always about your faith. Would you hold on to God in the storm, or would you let go? Would you trust his plan even when you couldn't see the outcome, or would you believe the lies that told you he had abandoned you? Satan didn't want you to realize that the pain was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you. God was using everything the enemy meant for harm to shape you into something the enemy could not touch. The fire you walked through was not to consume you, but to refine you. Look at Joseph. His own brothers sold him into slavery. He was falsely accused in prison for years, forgotten by those he helped. If